So that's kind of weird. But anyway, let's have a look. Who's behind this that's going on in South Australia on the shoreline there? Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. Oh boy. Okay. In the past, it was created by none other than deep state and dark cult globalists, that kind of thing, right? Because it's coming from there, and it was already created. So it's a situation that was already created in the past, and this happens a lot, and it's still playing itself out. So they could have put something in motion that creates these situations, maybe even a long time ago or somewhere else. And now that poison is washing up on the shores of Victor Harbor, okay, and creating this disaster. But it was actually put forward a long time ago, and it's now being seen in the world, okay? So it's really true what's happening. Now, here's a good thing. The good thing is it's not a long-term situation. That's the good news, okay, because that's a 5, and 5 say it's temporary and a setback. And of course, I'm not saying it's good. It's in no way good. Of course, it isn't good. Okay, it was created by these bad guys, the globalists, who do want to blame. So they probably put it forward years ago somewhere else, knowing it would create or wreak havoc on different shores. Okay, so they sent it forth, I don't know how, right, somewhere else in the world, and it's now washing up on Victor Harbor. So they already created the problem, and now it's washing up places. Okay, so there's probably probably showing up different places in the world too. We're just asking about it because we got somebody viewing from Victor Harbor, but I bet there's other places that are having these issues. Okay, people are even getting sick walking along the shore. Okay, so this was a poison created by the deep state, the globalists, Khazarian mafia, all of those baddies. Okay, and it's really true what's happening. It's not being exaggerated. The white hats didn't do it. Okay, the bad guys did it. But it is an opportunity here. It looks like an opportunity for people to really sharpen up their understanding of what these guys do, how they like to blame everything on global warming, how they like to blame it on climate change, etc. Okay, so it's just another example of how they do that, how they trick us into believing and blaming it all on our own selves. Okay, when they in fact create the problem. Okay, so here we've got the Knight of Wands. So the advice is to maybe take to social media, setting the alarms, like sending out alarm bells that guess what, they're blaming this on global warming but it in fact was very likely created. Well, it was likely, by the look of it, it was created by the deep state and globalists. So maybe some memes, if you can create some memes, if you're good at that, and or find articles that describe to people how this gets done to us. Circulate real truths about global warming. That would help, because then people that are thinking this might be connected to or related to global warming or climate change, maybe they'll think differently about it. Like, it just took me a few articles where it was described to me how this is an agenda, and I started to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. My common sense and intuition kicked in. Maybe some people need to hear that again. Okay, so circulate things, but the good news is the environment there will strengthen again and re-strengthen itself, and this is temporary and won't last too long. That's the good news. I mean, it's unfortunate that it even happened in the first place. It's happening all over the world, stuff like this. Okay, so pointing it out and sharing information on the real truth behind the global warming agenda, okay, would be a really good idea. I see lots and lots of memes and things out there on X and Telegram, so go looking. I share them whenever I see them too, just so people can become aware that this is done to you. This is an agenda to get more taxes and to be able to pillage the system, also to basically gaslight humans, right? So we're the problem instead of the 1% and all of their big corporations being the problem. No, we're the problem somehow, right? Okay. So let's look at these protests and riots. Okay. We can't always just call them protests. They look like straight up riots. Now, I will say that a lot of LA people are posting. So these are more isolated than you think. This is not going on all over. This is like they played this clip with 3 or 4 different clips with that Mexican flag flying. It's always the same person holding it. Like, you got to be careful with these. This is all really, really exaggerated. There's isolated situations of this going on, is what I'm hearing. And a lot of people are going around in LA when they're saying it's LA wide, that's a big city. Okay, it's not. It's in these isolated areas, and it's huge theater. Okay, they're paying a lot of people to do this. Okay, they got them all dressed up to look a certain way. All of this, by the way, from what I get and what I've been looking at all week, is created by, get this, the White Hat Alliance. Okay, they're literally creating the psyop to show you how these guys create psyops to get stuff to go in a certain direction. And the mainstream media, of course, is the only one supporting them with this BS, right? So start looking really carefully at all the footage. You'll see all kinds of things that make let you understand. We got some isolated things going on that are created in theater. And then maybe there's even some real stuff in there. Okay. But then it's really blown out of proportion what's going on. And so what I'm asking is, there's ones planned across the US for June 14th. And this is from what they're calling the No Kings Movement. So this is where the question is. The No Kings Movement mass protest June 14th. Now, again, that is very likely a white hat psyop. Okay. Like, it's got white hat psyop written all over, because it's being promoted by, guess what, Hollywood. And we know Hollywood's dead. You guys, Hollywood, all the main players in Hollywood have been rounded up there facing tribunals. I've been getting it for years. And you may not buy that, but I'm telling you, the cards consistently say those people they're not even around anymore. Most of them you're seeing are CGI doubles, mask wearers. Okay, the really famous people. Anyway, so what we want to know is, even if this is created as a psyop, how dangerous will it get? Okay, so the No Kings Movement, is this going to be something you need to be careful to be out in big cities like in the US? It looks like, if you believe what the hype, it looks like it's going to be really scary. Okay, so is that true? Is there a there to how? Are they going to create this to be huge? Just to have to bring in the military? Like, what do we got going on here? How dangerous are these on the 14th, the No Kings one? Let's have a look. And then who's really behind it? We'll have a look at that too. So we'll see if we can get both of those things. So that's a lot of fear porn. Like I said, you guys, fear porn. So they're creating it to look way worse than it is. Okay. Even my normie friends are starting to go, wait a sec. We had a friend who lives in LA. They went looking in the areas. They said these big protests were going down, and they filmed and nothing was going on. You guys, just like, remember in the very beginning of the lockdowns, they were saying that New York was ground zero. They kept using that word. And they had all of these triage, and you're not even, by the way, legally allowed to film in a triage situation in the hospital. Okay, so they had all these film footage clips of triage just going insane with COVID, people coming down with COVID and dying. None of it was true. So people started going to the hospitals they were saying the name of, and all these big hospitals in New York they were saying was ground zero for COVID-19. Crickets. You went in the hospital and there was nobody in the parking lot and nobody in emergency. Nobody was going near the hospitals. That was absolutely a lie. Then they were showing us aerial views. I just want to remind everybody how they do this. Aerial views of mass graveyards and burials. Turned out it was from years ago. This all got uncovered, by the way. Goodman, I think his name's Goodman, went around, this fellow, this YouTuber. He went around, and he's still doing his YouTubing, by the way, and I forget his first name, but his last name's Goodman. And he went around and he showed us firsthand what a bunch of BS it was. They completely made it up. They could be doing the same thing in LA, guys. Okay. And they film these little isolated, they ask for actors en masse. It's been outed that they've been in LA looking for actors that can act out big rioting kind of situations. They plant somebody with the Mexican flag, just like they did, remember, with the truckers? They planted that one guy with the Nazi flag, who was probably an FBI undercover agent, likely, or something, right? So totally a plant by, the globalists or whatever, or whoever was pulling that one off. They plant that one guy, they photograph it from every different direction, and they try to make it look like everybody's doing this. Okay. You got to know, we're living in a fake reality. It's fake. A lot of it's fake. So let me know if you're from LA. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They had that one shot of the Nazi flag, and all of a sudden it's a big Nazi, communist march, and Canadians got totally shut down for the most beautiful, peaceful truckers. The trucker situation was so represented, and that's what's happening in LA. That's what I'm thinking. And looking at these cards, it says the same thing. Okay, so here we've got the ace. So they've definitely put out all of this information about this no kings thing. Who's actually putting it out looks like it's the white hats. So it's not coming from the bad guys. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. I feel like it's to out what the bad guys do, but in fact, it's put out by White Hat Alliance, and it'll be frustrating. They might shut down some streets. You might have to get rerouted on the day. There's going to be minor setbacks and frustrations. Somebody might get a brick in their window. Okay, but nothing like what they're saying. Okay, and I don't get it lasts for days, but let's pull two more, because a digital soldier wrote me and asked, will it last days or weeks? So we've got justice, and no, it looks like it gets shut down pretty quickly. I'd say within a day. I'd say it's mostly on the day. So the 14th, June 14th. Okay, so the whole thing's just a big splash for the visuals. And we're going to get to why are they doing that, because that looks like White Hat Alliance and not Deep State. So they're showing you again what these guys do. Okay, but it could all be a cover for what they're really doing. Okay, so now we're going to get to that part. Let's see. Will Trump mobilize the Marines? Actually, that's the next one I want to ask. Will he mobilize the Marines? And then we'll get to the why they're doing this. Because I got a feeling about why they might be doing all of this. I'm hoping it's for the reasons we're all thinking. Okay, are they going to so is Trump going to mobilize the Marines leading up to or on June 14th? Okay, let's have a look. All of this going down in the next few days, guys. It's going to be crazy. Let's have a look. So he's talking about he's going to do it. So that's putting it out there and putting lots of information out there. We've got the strength card there. Okay, so he's certainly they're ready to go. They're absolutely ready to go. There's going to be a situation outside of Canada and the U.S. that takes all our attention away. I was saying that, and it's probably coming tomorrow, remember, or sometime in the next couple of days. And that could actually take our attention away, and sort of it downplays everything that's going on in the U.S. So we've got right at the last minute, Um, right at the last minute, does he do it? I don't think he does. Wow, does he mobilize the? No, he gets really close to mobilizing, and right at the last minute, he doesn't. Okay, so it's they for some reason push it right to the edge, and it'll look like he's going to, and then he doesn't. Probably because these things don't get out of hand. By the way, they're all controlled and theater. Okay, I mean it'll feel real. If you're caught in one of these, it's going to feel real. All of these people are being paid to act out a riot. Okay, but it's not going to be citywide like they're saying. It's not going to be nearly as devastating as a whole bunch of podcasters are fear porning out there, which I don't know why they're doing that. Like these things, this is like sounds like the major fear porn I was getting in the. Do you remember the Zodiac spread? Like there was going to be so much fear porn spread out there, and they were even going to be placing it in the hands of a lot of podcasters, truthers, and getting them to look foolish because they're going to buy into the fear porn. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be one of those because my cards are not agreeing with the amount of chaos that's going to be caused. This feels orchestrated and rammed up and ramped up, and a lot of it is going to be theater. So be aware, and of course be careful. Right. So I'm not saying get out in the middle of these things. No, like you could get hurt. Okay. But absolutely keep an eye on what the news is telling you. Okay. Because you'll find all kinds of, it'll be really obvious it's what's really going on if you're really paying attention. And if you do find video clips showing others just how this is orchestrated and created and psyoped, okay, please share those so others can know. Okay. Wow. So no, it's not going to be all that. No. And I'm not saying it won't be frustrating, irritating, and even somewhat, I wouldn't recommend being out in the middle of any of those. And I'd stay out of crowds from now till after July 4th, frankly. Okay. But it's not going to be anything like what they're saying. Okay, so now will the June 14th Trump parade here's the one I was really excited to get to, this question. Will that parade have hidden agenda, arrests, roundups, and will we all see it? Will it be in secret if that's the case, or will we see it? So will they have public arrests? Will there be arrests and they're not public? Like, what are we going to see in the public eye? And is there a hidden agenda to why they're doing all of this? So think about how many tanks were being photographed going to DC. Okay, so yes, there is a parade. So they're going to have all those tanks in the parade likely. But could this all have a hidden agenda? Could everything be a cover? Because if the white hats are in charge of all of this, which it looks like to me, okay, could this all be a cover for, are we going to see the EBS go down? Like, what's happening? Last time I looked at it earlier in the week, it didn't look like it was going all the way to the EBS. But I didn't ask about arrests and roundups. But I asked about the EBS, and what I got was that's more of a fall thing. This is sort of a layering up to that, maybe even a practice run, right? They're going to create another big, and when you look at Cliff High's chart about rising tensions, the biggest rising tension is in October. Yeah. So I felt like that was when actually EBS and that kind of thing goes off. But let's have a look, just in case I got that wrong. Let's have a look. So we got the alliance card there. We got so a lot of who's actually gathering and you're going to have a big presence of actual alliance and white hat military. So a lot of normies, they're not going to know anything about that, but keep your eyes open. The white hats are in full force in this parade. Okay. Alliance and white hats, full force. Yeah. And you might even recognize like that they are wearing maybe even a different, because they're going to be really creative at how they show you that. Now, this is around, I wanted this line to be around. Are they actually going to do? So it does look like they're leading up to um, arrests and roundups, but we've got the surrender card. That's going to be done in the cover. Okay, so the whole thing is a cover for things they're doing, but we're not going to see it. Not with that card there. That card says surrender. I don't think we're going to see any of it, but it's going towards, and they're doing some of it for sure. Okay, this is Trump white hat. They're all around this. So the whole operation on the 14th that's being displayed as this big celebration for the military, 250 years celebrating the U.S. military. Okay, that's an excuse, and they might have done it anyway, but they're using it to do a whole bunch of stuff, but it's undercover. They're going to do the stuff undercover. So they're doing things, but they're definitely not showing us. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things we don't get to know about, but down the road, this will all come out, and I'm thinking August, September. So it might even be sooner than October. Wow. Okay. Will Trump invoke the Insurrection Act on or before June 14th? Let's have a look. So, I mean, maybe he'll invoke it just because he needs that to get some of this stuff done. The undercover stuff that they're doing. Let's have a look. Will Trump invoke the Insurrection Act on or before June 14th? Oh my goodness, this is all just... So it's definitely a strategy and a potential. And that was upside down when I first went to put it down. So I would read that as he's kind of hesitant to do that, or he could have done it, but he hesitates. People will call for it, and then others will be rallying against it, right? So there's a lot of controversy, people on both sides yelling about if he does or if he doesn't. We've got the Temperance, the 3. I feel like things won't get out of hand enough, and he won't. And I think he's ready to do it if he needs to, because I feel like even though they're creating the drama from the White Hat Alliance, and they've got paid instigators and actors behaving like, I think they're showing us just what these guys do. It could still get out of hand. There's unintended consequences, so that's where you got to be careful, because people could actually get mob mentality, and the regular folks who weren't read in that this is actually all theater, they could get all stirred up and go do their own things. Do you know what I mean? But these cards are looking like, so that's why I feel like he's ready to if he needs to, but these cards actually look like it won't go there. So it's not going to be the big shenanigans everybody's thinking. And I feel like the real go down where we get the public on everything finally, and maybe even the EBS, which I am literally intending and visualizing that, because I really think we need it. That feels like that's more fall. That feels like late August, September, and or October. Those times feel like that's when all the public knows about all of this. This feels like, yeah, they're using this for stuff they're doing, and they're ready if they have to. Okay, but it doesn't look like it goes there. All of these cards say actually it tempers down itself. So I don't think they'll have, like, it won't look like they need to. Like, and if he doesn't have the situation, I don't think he's going to call it. Wow. Okay. So I want to do one more little look at how do we get through the coming days and weekend. Okay, because all of this crazy going on, and it looks like there's going to be a situation in Europe that also calls everybody's attention. It could be any one of, I mean, it could be like the banks going down. It could be so many different things. Yeah, it's actually a couple of different things. And one of them might even be physical, like a physical situation where we could get an earthquake or something where there's a physical weather situation or physical earth change kind of situation that creates a big havoc. Okay, let's have a look. So there's all of this stuff going on. How do we get through the next few days and weekend? And remember what I said about June. A lot of things that present in the public eye are not real. Okay, your June is full of trickery and full of psyops. Okay, so just so you know, and lots of fear porn. So keeping that in mind, and it makes a lot of sense to what I just read in all of these situations. Yeah, so it's going to be frustrating. And what happens in particular with people, like lots of government absolute foolery, like crazy, like I feel like we're going to really out just how, and like we've been doing this for months and years, but like I feel like in France they're going to really have an outing of just how debauched that Macron and his, like I feel like there might be something there that really flares up. Like there's places in Europe that they've really been exposing the governments, but I feel like it just goes a little off the rails here this weekend. So people are going to need to surrender. You're going to have lots of arguments with normies because everything looks a certain way, but you know it's not the way it appears. That's going to be difficult. Lots of trickery, foolery. So you know what? Your best bet is do something different. Try not to get drawn into, first of all, arguing with normies, because nothing they see will be anything you know is happening. Everything they see is going to be all the fakery. Okay, so they're going to be freaking out about all these things that were completely made up. That's going to be frustrating. Don't get in arguments with normies, whatever you do. Okay, even if they're close to you, even if they're in your household, just don't argue. Just walk away. Okay, and watch for and be detached and watch for all the theater, because oh my goodness, it's going off the scales here this weekend, you guys. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. Try not to get involved, angry and grumpy. Like let go of that. That feeds, that's louche. They call that louche. That feeds the negativity in the world. That feeds the overlords. We don't want to give them any more louche. Okay, so try to stay personally, make a decision, because you can decide how you feel about things, to decide that isn't this fascinating and I'm going to watch, instead of I'm so angry about this. Try to step away from anger and decide to have another emotion about it, like curiosity or fascination. That's what I do. I go to curiosity and fascination. Okay, because it will be a shit show, excuse the language, and it'll be a little crazy this weekend, mostly in the news and not literally. Okay, so do you guys get what I'm, so literally in the world, it's going to be calmer and but it'll look like it's all hell broke loose. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. What it appears to be, according to the newsreels and even social media, going to be crazy, but actually not much is actually going on. Okay, so isn't that fascinating? Take care, everybody. Send in ravens, and take care of yourselves throughout the next few days and weeks. Bye-bye. Wow. Well, according to the cards here, what's propelling it is really positive. Earth healing, physical and earth healing. So 3 cards across here. They're beautiful. This is like universal timing is in effect, and there's a real healing going on here. So spiritual healing, especially when it's well aspected, which it is really well aspected. We've got the Ace of Pentacles. So there's something healing. Maybe some of these spells that have been put on things are lifting. Okay, so we were held in a place, and it's like we're catching up to where we really are. It's like the earth is healing itself, universal energy is healing itself, but we might be feeling it like we might be having to catch up, because maybe some of us are stuck, or maybe for parts of the time we're stuck back in the old matrix. So something's healing but we're stuck a little. We're a little bit stuck back here. So going between what it was and the truth about where we're headed and how we're evolving into this, it's like a new Earth or something. Okay, we're evolving into it, and it feels like we're experiencing this time lapse and missing time, and it's like we got to catch up to where we really are and let go of where we've been. So we're in this in between time.
Okay. In that twist your noodle video, Cliff, I put out last week, and it kind of twisted all our noodles in that show, and we've been chewing on that one ever since. He was opining that perhaps this message that was brought back from the Voyager space mission that could have maybe installed something in the human consciousness could have been an automatic trigger of sorts in this particular matrix, to where when humanity reaches a certain level, it triggers this next evolutionary step, or this next step in the process here of whatever this game and how it's been designed. Is what's happening now, and how this young gentleman was describing it, also perhaps part of that trigger?
I think if you're willing, you'll receive. You're being offered an upgrade, and you're being offered healing. And depending on, like, and this card says, some people might resist that because they don't know energetically. Something's pulling them or moving them, and they don't know if it's okay or not, or they're fearful of it, or they've been, taught to reject that kind of energy. So we're going in completely new directions. And I feel like what that guy was describing is he's hesitant. He's bumping up against this new energy that's being offered, that's actually upgraded and a better reality, but he's hesitant because it's all new territory and he's not used to it. So his physical self could even be moving through time to catch up to itself. So I think it's weird times for that reason too. That's why we might be missing time and feeling like nothing's making any sense. And if you know nothing about this and you're not consciously ready to accept this, because this is really good. And another weird thing that happened to me was the other day, I all of a sudden realized none of my usual aches and pains were present. So I've had, for the last couple of years, really bad ankles, knees, and hips. And I know it's emotional, and it's often triggered by emotional things that are happening, or really big news, in the field, right, in war. And all of a sudden, I realized, my consciousness went, wait a sec, I don't have any aches and pains right now. What's happening? Wow. Right? That was weird. Okay, so
do you know what day that started? Because I think when you and I did the last Thursday show or the Monday night show, you still had the pains at night. So when did those disappear? Was that earlier this week? Do you remember the date?
So about 2 days ago.
Okay.
I just woke up to, oh my goodness, I have no aches and pains. So that would have been Tuesday.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And I mentioned it to my friend. I went, oh my goodness, like right this minute, I can't complain about anything. I was like, what?
Huh.
Yeah.
You say Tuesday. Okay, so I'm going to blow your mind here. I'm looking for a post that I sent to Sarah. Oh, where is it? This one here. Does it say the date? How do I go to see the date? The 12th. What are we today? 15th? The 12th would have been Monday. Okay. I showed her this post. I saw it on my Twitter on the Monday. So that's that famous... is it Michelangelo?
Yep.
Who's this, right? Yeah. Painting. And so when I read this, it kind of goes back to what you just said about you have to be willing. So in the creation of Adam, God's finger is stretched out to the maximum, but Adam's finger remains slightly bent at the last phalange. The meaning of the art is to explain that God is always there, but the decision to seek him belongs to man. So if we remove the religious connotations to this, it goes back to what you're just saying. We have universal energy coming in right now, and that gentleman here is hesitant on whether or not to extend his finger to make that connection, right? Expand on that here. And okay, when I saw this, Sarah said, "Why are you sending me this?" I'm like, I don't know. I just feel it's important. That was Monday. I didn't know why. And now when you said that, I'm like, oh, this is the image we needed to show to bring that into people's consciousness tonight. Go ahead.
Well, I feel like I welcome universal input, and I work with it every day using cards, and then with my clientele for like 35 years when I did it for a living full time. So to me, it's like, it just makes sense to have that universal connection. And I feel like that's what this card's all about here. That's the universal healing card. That's when the spirit world is healing you in its natural timing. So there's nothing really you can do about that. But the thing you could do is resist it. You could resist it, okay? And I think you'd feel really out of yourself or out of place if you resisted something that good. So these cards are brilliant together. They're like abundance, health, healing, and it's coming. It's all coming, and it'll become available, and I believe it will in the next few years. I think it won't happen overnight, but it's going to happen over time here. And I feel like it'll all be available, and we just need to receive it or accept it.
Now you see the extended picture there, but yeah, fascinating. Okay. I promised you we would tie that into what's going on the planet now here too, the Trump mission, as Janine was talking about. Let's go there next. So this week, let's see if we can go back on the slide deck. Trump, of course, is in the Middle East. Let me just change a slide deck so we can go through these a little bit faster with the audience. Hold on a second. This one. Okay. So going through the Middle East, he's being received as a king. All these deals are being made. He's involved in the peace talks between Pakistan and India. Apparently now we have a trade deal with China. There was one announced with the UK. Apparently here we've just removed the tariffs against the states yesterday. Carney did. So it's like we're a big happy family around the world. And I thought that was interesting in the context of a tweet here from Mark Carney. This was the National Post responding to their post-meeting here with Trump in the White House on May 9th. Carney praised U.S. president as a transformative, quote-unquote, leader working to secure the world. And you remember, when you and I were looking at this in November, December, when he started talking about the 51st state, annexing Greenland also, he was talking about Panama Canal. We were on the track of trying to understand and decipher that Trump wanted to build this maybe North American strategic, economic, and defense union of sorts. Didn't have the words yet, but that's kind of where the cards were leading. Here, what Carney is suggesting is it's much bigger than just North America. And if you look at just the last couple of days of what Trump's doing in the Middle East, what you were getting in the cards on the Wednesday night show is that Trump right now is securing some type of planetary alliance in order to fight something or an incoming threat. Words that effect. Can you just make sure I'm on the right track here? Yep. You use those words. Are you happy with the way we're framing it right now? Just going by memory.
Yep. I'm happy with that. Yep.
Okay. And what you got in there is that countries like Canada right now, it's like a farce. Carney just announced that there's not going to be a new budget until the fall. And like, he just got elected and he's going to spend money, but he's not going to present us any budget. Everybody's like, what? And we were like, Trudeau was like, oh, the budget is going to balance itself. Remember that? And now Carney's like, well, there's no budget. Like, it's just absolutely lunacy. And I thought it was interesting because he had just allocated $40 billion at Carney here just recently without the government being in function. And you got from that a lot of that money right now is being reallocated to this incoming threat and this interplanetary alliance. And that perhaps the reason they're not doing a budget right now is because they want to be opaque and still keep a lot of people into the dark as to what this particular threat is and how perhaps this alliance is trying to allocate funds to it to defend against it. Still on the same track? Still on the same page. Okay. So guys, if you're just watching us now tonight, that appears to be shaping up here as a reality, that Trump could be somehow the figurehead for this new planetary alliance. And if you look at that quote from Mark Carney, who just weeks before was saying Trump bad, we're in crisis, blah, blah. Suddenly he's a transformative president looking at world security. That in the context now, let's go back to my last interview with Cliff High, where he had brought us the emotional values coming into this summer, the peaks. And so now he's prompting Grok to project when the aliens are going to be emerging and zero-point technology. That's interesting. He says, I think that Cliff High, will be more accurate than Grok, who projects the aliens emerging in November 2026. And you'll see if you go to his post, the detail from that conversation. He says, my data pointed to both aliens and zero-point technology, aka spooky science involving space and time, which again, the White House has just admitted they can manipulate space and time. It's in our mainstream news now, absolutely crazy stuff. Cliff was saying that was probably July 2025. At least that seems to be what the emotional data charts were suggesting at that time. So now, having put what appears to be Trump's mission into context for the audience tonight, and then having gone back now and looking at some of the stuff that was predicted in the WebBot data, could it be that this summer of emergence that Cliff High is talking about is exactly what these world leaders right now are working on to either defend or to find a way to mitigate? Let's do that first poll, that 40,000 foot poll here, on how those two stories correlate with each other, and then we'll try to dig a little bit deeper depending on what direction this goes here. Somebody says maybe the aliens are manipulating Grok. Yeah, maybe that too. That's why we're asking questions. Somebody else said something interesting earlier. They said, oh, we're getting to the end of the Truman Show. Yeah, that could be very well what's happening too. So all of that combined, right? So basically this reality is changing perhaps quicker than most humans can adapt to right now. And I think that is also accelerating. So Janine.
Speaking of the Truman Show.
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver with my friend around my birthday time when I took those few days off for my birthday. And we were walking around downtown and we saw a guy with the same shirt on pass us in almost every place we went. It didn't make any sense. And we were all over the place downtown. And so was this guy with the same shirt on. And we were like, Truman Show.
Wow.
The guy's an extra and he keeps walking by.
That's crazy.
Totally weird. Yeah. I was like,
well, that's like what this guy was saying about the fake people, like kind of like that too. And when we went to Toronto for the concert, like fake people everywhere. Crazy. Or extras. Call them extras.
Yeah.
Wow.
They just don't seem real. It's wild.
Yeah. Now, how did you phrase the question as you're pulling the cards, or do you want me to rephrase it right now?
Yeah, rephrase it, because I was going with what you asked, and now we need to rephrase it.
Okay, so we looked at what appears to be Trump's mission, bringing a planetary coalition together to fight some type of external threat. So we have that on record. Yeah. And now we're looking at the summer of emergence, what Cliff High is picking up in the data, and we want to know if and how those two correlate right now.
Okay, so this is Trump's mission, which is secret and not willing to be disclosed yet.
Mm-hmm.
So even the universe isn't going to tell us what his true mission is. We have been watching this theater of politics certainly, all over the world. Like, just look at what happened on the weekend with the covering up the cocaine and all the kind of silly antics. And those were all those players. Like, they're all the actors, and they got together for that little shoot, that little skit. That's what I figured. That's a skit. They've been doing this all along. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. As if somebody would have got footage like that and been allowed to leave the room with that footage.
Yeah. And clearly these guys are trying to hide once they realize, oh, the cameras are there, and our cocaine and our cocaine spoon is still on the table. Watch what Macron does here. If you haven't seen this video, you'll see he'll grab it. Oh, okay. Put it under his arm. Yeah. And then once again, he'll start talking, and then he'll move it in the other's hand. Like, they're hiding it.
Yeah. So, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's a Coke bag. Yeah.
And just think about how, okay, so you and I, Jean-Claude, we had security for that one little weekend there when we did the conference. And just think about all of those guys got their own security teams.
Yeah.
They're not going to let somebody leave the room with that footage.
No.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Okay, so we've got, so it's his mission is secret. Yeah. And like we could worry and fret about a lot of things, and it does involve something that's stressful, this card says, and they think they have reason to be stressed. Okay, so it's definitely not like they think
it's warranted. It's warranted.
Yeah, it's warranted. Okay. Now here we've got that, but it's a little ways off. Like they've known about it for a while, but it's like a building thing, and they have sort of an idea of the timing on it. So they knew they had a little bit of time. This is a season card. So the seeds were planted, so they knew about it some time ago, and they've been working towards it. So this guy works towards, so he's gardening and all the work he has to put in for his crop to come to fruition in the fall, right? Depending on where you live, of course. But so this card is, this is it's been a building thing, and they've all been working towards something. It involves this secret mission of Trump's. Okay, and a lot of people are in on it, backdoor deals, shaking hands, like a lot of what we saw happen in the Middle East. Like, why would they be so eager to work with Trump? He's a U.S. president, and we know the U.S. has been pretty brutal to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Okay, all the former presidents have been not really very good for the Middle East, if you think about it. And then, of course, he see the Syrian guy already? Apparently that was like some record-breaking thing where he actually kind of had a good rapport with the Syrian leader.
I didn't see that part. It could very well be. All I saw in the last couple of days is he's getting like fighter jet escorts, like the cities are lighting up. He's getting the big parades. He's getting like huge like honorary gifts everywhere he's going. Clearly, they're treating him with a lot of respect. And then when I say that, like a gazillion times more than they were giving Biden. So there's a big, definitely demarcation. Yeah.
There's a value. Yeah. Somehow they respect what he's doing, and he has a value that these other guys didn't have. Okay, and it's this is a very political card, and it's also about, again, both these cards together, shaking hands. It's a strategy to bring everybody together to a common goal here. So they're working together. Okay, we already know the White Hat Alliance, or I believe anyway, that they've already capitulated a lot of these places, and they've already been working together for some time. But there's a secret mission he's on that's stressful. It steps away from the theater. So this is in the past, and it goes away from that, something else. And they're all going to need to come together and strategize. So what he was really doing, it looks like, was strategically putting things in place for this secret mission he's on.
So you know how for the last couple of months, you and I were not having it with all this trade war rhetoric. You know, it was like bubble gum for the brain TV type of stuff. And we kept going like, no, this is all about something else. They're talking about tariffs on the news, but really this is code to bring people to the table to agree on how to do something together. Like there were deals being made here, new alliances being made, and perhaps they were forcing people to come to the table also in this particular effort, because it is planetary in nature. Do you want to
Mhm.
do clarifiers? Like, were we right about that? That in fact, that was a whole cover story for what we're looking at now.
Yeah, the world. So
Yeah.
absolutely. And did you also see that footage where the women were all like really long hair was loose and they were purposely whipping their hair as Trump was walking by? It was the weirdest ritual.
Wow.
I think it was in Syria.
Hmm.
Anyway, they were all and apparently it was some huge honor because these women never show their hair for anybody, and they all their long black hair, they were doing this interesting head movement and their hair was whipping in front of him as he walked by. It was the
Wow.
weirdest thing. Yeah,
No, that's good. Wow, fascinating.
yeah.
Okay, so they're both correlated, but still here we're not getting any information on what specifically that mission might be.
No, I
And you
mean
said,
we could ask for more on this.
yeah, let's do that. Let's get clarifiers there. And then I'll ask you for clarifiers on timing also, because you said, oh, it's a ways away, they had time.
Okay, something I think the alliance like alerted them to, and it involves maybe off-world or otherworldly, and it's something they have to be careful with. So the information needs to be handled carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a big. Yeah, it's for Trump, the White Hat, and Alliance, but I don't think we're going to get any more out of that. Emperor sort of puts a big block on it. It's like a security card in a way.
Huh. I have the what you're talking about here. Trump gets this hair flipping royal welcome in Abu Dhabi. Interesting. I hadn't seen that. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you did timing? So now let's look at what perhaps try to get clarity on what perhaps that mission is. You said you'd go further if you can.
Yeah, that's
there?
around. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't. So we're not getting too far here. We get the alliance maybe alerted them about it, so it's
Mhm.
probably connected to things that are beyond our human and physical realm.
Yeah.
And maybe a spiritual or off-world or other timeline, or like these guys are time travelers, and they move through. I mean, for lack of a better word, maybe there's a better word for it, but they jump around on the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's about safety and caution. Okay, so and then we got the Emperor, which goes, okay, we're putting a lid on it. That's all you get.
Okay. I'll redirect to a different question then. So I think it was on the Sunday, you and I recorded the WUFI forecast for the month of May. And in there too, it got weird. That's where we started seeing this Trump mission, the planetary alignment. You kept getting, what was that 3 card? That prompted you to say, oh, there's something underwater, inner Earth, and perhaps extraterrestrial. There was 3 threats combined. Remember?
Yeah, 3 of Pentacles. We got the 3 of Wands, 3 of Pentacles. And then we asked about that. Okay, so 3 of Pentacles can mean 3 different things you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And we asked what they were, and we got water, so underwater. And actually, I got it more intuitively.
Yeah.
Like alien, so otherworldly or dimensional, and also underground.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to that, so that was like the trifecta kind of threat that they were dealing with. It seemed to be very much correlated with the financial system and what's about to happen. And so we went through this whole show, the WUFI forecast, looking at gold, silver, crypto, and a lot of news around the world, suggesting that, again, something's not right. Something's acting very differently. And there are people making moves across the board who might know that could be tipping our hands to where this is going. So we had that on the Sunday. And since then, I wanted to share this with you guys. So this was breaking news yesterday on the 14th. Ray Dalio, Bridgewater Associates, just filed a portfolio update. The hedge fund opened a 318 million position in gold, GLD. And this one here, Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund just disclosed buying $500 million worth of Bitcoin ETF. So the big money is moving, Janine, right now in a big way ahead of something. Can we just do a poll on that too to kind of bring the people up to speed here on that WUFI forecast, see what this looks like here for the next 2 weeks. Let's end from 15th of May to 1st of June. What can we expect on how the financial system might be triggering or being partly affected here by this world coalition? What's coming up next on that front for the audience?
Wow. Interesting. Okay, 3 major arcanas across the board here, coming from a safety and caution kind of card. Okay, and this card is describing, so it's more like an archetype in this kind of the way we ask the question. So it's archetypally how they're handling things. So needing to get a real control and a grip on a situation. So they're trying to control or manage or navigate something. This guy's a control freak energetically. So if he's an archetype, he's very controlling. And and sometimes there's a good reason for that, right? It's not always a bad card, right? It can be very, it's tricky because you can go down a slippery slope being too controlling, of course, right? So then we've got the High Priestess. So it's still secretiveness around it. So we're not going to get all the details here. And it has something again to do with the alliance, and the alliance is sort of managing the whole thing. I feel like that being in the middle, there's this managing. The alliance is managing when the information comes out, what we can know. Here we've got the Knight of Wands. So they're controlling and preparing, and they're going to use good military, or maybe building a military, Yeah. And now we've got the Wheel of Fortune and the 5. So it's got something to do with the war, but it's a whole sideline thing. Like it'll take the war in a totally different direction, off planet, underground, underwater. Like it feels like it takes it totally to a new level.
Okay. That's fascinating. We have one more segment to do. Then we have a special guest, and then I also have a bunch of prizes to give away tonight. Let's leave that one there, Janine. And we cannot not look at James Comey today and what appeared to be a death threat against Donald Trump. The tweet has since been deleted. Let me see if I can bring that image to you guys here. It was that one from earlier today. This one here. So 8647, Comey, cool shell formation on my beach walk. Right. So are they calling for his assassination right now? Does this tie into Joe's prophecy with the plane? He was just donated a plane, the 747 from Qatar. What's going on with this death threat at this point of the game? Tie it into the same war effort? Or is there something else happening right now? Is this a residual of perhaps all the people panicking who don't want to go to jail? What's going on with this one, and how does that tie in, Janine? Is this credible at this point too? Like, what do we need to know? If I read, so just in, Trump Jr. says the FBI director, former James Comey, casually calling for my dad to be murdered, quote unquote. 1 hour ago, Comey posted this image on Instagram, which I'm showing you. Update: DHS and Secret Service is investigating the threat and will respond appropriately, unquote. And last update, Comey has deleted the post. That was at 6 p.m. Janine, what's going on with this news story?
Well, we got a major arcana card, so I think it's true. Okay, and he was putting out a message, so that's in the past. Put out a message, and I'm sure that's not I'm sure that's not the only one. those guys, okay, you could be sure. Of course, it could be the white hats also putting out the message. Maybe he put it out, and they're just showing you now what these guys do. I mean, possibly that guy's already.
So
Yeah.
that's more of a replay of something that's happened in
Yeah.
the past, and they're
I
just
wonder if they're just showing you something,
rehashing
because
it.
none of this looks like that guy's was actually like, it feels more like something that already happened, and they're
Okay.
just showing it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
In the timing we're in right now, I feel like a lot of this stuff's like a replay.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got temperance here, so they don't really look worried about what he said there. I
Yeah.
feel like it's more alerting the public to, what do these guys do?
Yeah.
Okay, when that guy was really a threat, because I feel like they would have mitigated the threat of that guy by now.
Mm-hmm.
If there really is a white hat alliance, I think they would have mitigated that guy's threat. Right. I'm just saying. Okay, so we've got the temperance card here. So this is how they're feeling about it. It's more about getting information out there. So I feel like it's in retrospect, or this already happened and they're showing us.
I got to ask you one more then. As you're saying all this to you, this threat, this international planetary alliance working together, at the same time that that's happening, Trump is putting a lot of money in Gitmo and now in Alcatraz, supposedly for the worst of the illegal aliens, which I think most of them he's being deported. So we don't understand that part. Clearly it's for somebody else, something else. Is that also the jails now connected with this interplanetary threat? Or is that more just, again, as a continuation here of draining the swamp and perhaps moves that are about to be played here in a big way? And that's why they're showing the death threats against Trump.
I think the pedophiles and child traffickers and adrenochrome people are going to be ended up in those jails.
Okay.
And maybe the lower lying fruit of that too, the high ups in the police stations that move the kids around, and like in the UK, that was a big thing. I'm sure it happens everywhere. High ups in religious organizations that move the kids through the tunnels and all. Like, because I feel like a lot of the really high up players already got rounded up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that feels like that's more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Than it is aliens. I don't think the jail's for aliens. I mean, it doesn't look like it anyway from there.
No. For the illegal aliens, no. And probably not for aliens either. We probably have other facilities for that.
I'm talking about aliens, like off-world, underwater, underground reptiles.
I'm with you on that too. And Rikers Island apparently also, I think, is being renovated. Yeah. So there's a lot of jails being upgraded right now. Mm-hmm. So again, they're expecting something here. Is it all for the journalists, as the liberals were saying? Trump was going to put all the journalists in jail. I don't think so. Something else is happening.
Yeah, I think they're looking at and looking forward to. I think there is going to be a big roundup. I mean, we've been hearing it for years, but they're going to do it. I believe they're going to do it this year.
Okay. Interesting. Guys, please join me in welcoming our next guest for tonight's show. Of course, you can find him on the consultation page here on beyondmystic.net, and you can find him, of course, also on the Academy with the brand new discernment workshop. It's the one and only Jens. Jens, welcome back to the show. How are you, man?
Hi, JC. Hi, Janine. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you on. Thank you for being here. And I'm not sure if you heard the beginning of the show, but Janine and I were talking about this individual who posted this video suggesting that everything is really weird right now. It doesn't feel right. People look fake. He doesn't understand anything that's going on. We're getting a speed up of time. And nothing makes sense. And everybody in the beginning of the show was like, yeah, we totally agree with this guy. And funny enough, Janine and I were talking about this exact sentiment on the Monday show. And in Janine's poll, she said, well, right now, to deal with all this craziness in our common shared reality, of course, discernment is key. So there was that. And there's also practicing detachment. So how universe guides and provides us, you've been working on this discernment workshop for quite some time. And here we are launching this as we're all collectively feeling the weirdness around us and the great, great need, of course, for us to exercise that discernment muscle. So thank you for being on, Jens, and thank you for all your work. Let me ask you first, though, before we get into the workshop, are you also, like the gentleman on the screen now and most of the audience here tonight, feeling this acceleration of time, the fact that things don't seem to make sense anymore, that people are actually going back shit crazy, that people look fake right now around you. Like, how are you experiencing the weird changeness of this woo, surfing this woo right now? Jans?
Yeah, as I was listening to the show, and in the beginning of the show, you mentioned something that reminded me. But I'll first answer the time question, because it was very interesting. Yeah, actually, yesterday, Meg said, I'm going to go out for groceries with the bike. So I expected her to be gone like for quite a while because she had to bike to Bruges, beautiful medieval city, which takes a while to bike to. And she was like back in a snap, and I was like, "What happened? Didn't you go?" And I was like, "No, I didn't. I did all my shopping. I went with the bike." And I was like, "There's like no time passed for me." So that was really like a weird moment that I was like, "It's really, really weird." When the doorbell rang, I thought it was somebody else because I wouldn't expect Meg back. So yeah, so I've had those experiences too. I mean, just very recently. So I think time is playing tricks on us because we are like moving, as you guys also were discussing, like into a higher frequency, and that like changes our experience of time, changes are like this. It's like, it's not the same as it used to be, like years ago, or even 10 years ago, especially 20 years ago, when things were more solid and set in stone and more, more 3D. And as we're going in, as we're doing this shift on the earth, it's like our whole sense of time is like getting scrambled in a way, I feel.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you're describing a conversation I had probably in my very first video with Clef I many years ago. He had said something to me. He says, JC, you're going to realize that the world you think you live on, like those solid planks that you work, religion's here, politics is here, and you walk with confidence, that's going to be taken away from you to a point where you're going to be walking and everything is squishy and you don't know what the fuck you're walking on. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see when we get there. And here we are, like everything is woo, nothing is real. We have to question every single thing we thought we knew, and exactly that, right? That's the hyper novelty part of it too. And we now have to discern what the hell is happening for ourselves, because we're understanding that everybody else is lying to us at the same time. So there was the time thing. He mentioned something about fake people. Sarah and I felt that in Toronto 2 weeks ago as well. And we brought that to each other's attention. Like, do those people feel real to you? And we thought, maybe we just went to a different town. People, maybe they're on drugs. They went to a concert and they just feel off, frequency to us. But it was enough for us it hit our radar. Because usually I live in the country. I don't see a lot of people on a daily basis. But it really hit me. And Janine was having that on the main island also, not on the island, but on the mainland also when she visited for her birthday. Are you feeling that stuff when you're getting into crowds right now where people don't feel real to you or feel fake also, Jans?
Yeah, actually, when you shared that in the beginning of the show, I was immediately reminded of an experience I had when I also was at a concert last summer in Belgium. We know it's called Graspop. It's like one of the biggest metal festivals in Europe. It's a really good, I was there with Meg. It's a really good festival, and I've been going there for like 20 years. I was standing there, and just enjoying myself. I mean, not thinking about the woo or something, because, you just go there to have fun and to see good bands. And I was kind of thinking to myself, what really changed now? Because, we've had, the pre-pandemic or pandemic, and then we have the post-pandemic. And I was like, kind of feeling into it, like what really changed. And suddenly I became aware of something like energetically in the people. And I can only describe it as like some gray mist. Like it was very subtle, but it was there. Like it's not something that was overtly in my face. I only sensed it because I was like kind of tuning into it, because I'm just there to have fun normally, right? But it was like a gray mist that like was a field that was spreading through some people, like most of the people, I have to say. And I think it might have something to do with the vaccine. That's what I intuitively felt. I'm not sure, because a lot of people are vaccinated in Belgium, and I could feel like that sense of, it was like an energy, like a very subtle gray mist that was like in the morphic field, you could say, that may have something to do with the vaccine, that like shifted the energy of the people after the pandemic, because a lot of energy shifted then. And I could feel like how they were more like, you could say more fake. I mean, they were still humans. I'm not dissing them or something. They're still human, but there was something, there was like a demarcation, like there was like, before the pandemic, we were all in one big melting pot, so to speak, and now there's more like a splitting and a shift going on, and maybe that's what we're feeling. I don't know, because I definitely felt it, and I was like, when I opened myself to it, I could really feel it. So that's kind of a little bit of a similar experience I had also in a concert.
Huh. Fascinating. People in the chat are telling me too. There's another death threat. This one here, James Comey is right. 8647. Somebody just posted that. These are billiard bars again. So there's a calm being played out right now in terms of this Trump assassination. Still, we're going to leave that there. We'll come back to that maybe in the next show. I want to concentrate tonight, but thank you for sending me the link. Whoever that was there, notifying me live. But yeah, Jens, thank you for sharing that, because for a lot of us having these different symptoms, we kind of go back and look at ourselves because we're sensitive, perhaps more than the normies or people who are not woken up yet. Because we're more sensitive, perhaps we're feeling this more, but it's also triggering us to having to look back at ourselves and saying, well, nobody else is feeling, or maybe they're not feeling it. Maybe I'm crazy, right? So have you gone through that process of also looking back at yourself like, am I crazy? Meg, are you feeling this too? Like, Sarah, are you feeling this too? Like, am I crazy? Like, are you feeling yourself right now in that discernment part of having to question yourself also, Jens?
Yeah, I try to always do that, I try to always, and that's what the discernment part is about. I try to always, question my own beliefs in a way. Like, am I rocker? For me, maybe because I'm a Sagittarius, truth is very important. Like, truth is above anything else. We need to chase truth, not our own beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, we as humans, we have a tendency to believe things more, or to be more susceptible to information when it fits our belief system. And we all have beliefs, that's why we got to constantly be discerning in a way. So we as humans, we have that tendency to better accept information that fits our worldview. So that's why I always try to work with, like, I will go more in depth in that in the discernment course. I like to work like with potentials of truth, where you have for yourself or something, I think this might be 80% possible, and I have like a little bit 20%, and I'm skeptical about it. Whilst in other things, I'm like 99% convinced that it's true, and 1% that it might not be true. So that's how I like to look at it. So I don't like to get fixed and stuck on things, because we need to stay discerning, and we need to keep an open mind about potentials, and about the moment we really start solidifying in our beliefs and in our beliefs too much, in our convictions, is when we can lose some of that discernment. So I like to keep things open, to keep that discernment flowing.
For sure. And so you've done a great job, by the way, in that as well with your book, A World in Transition. Guys, you can find that on Amazon as well, available in English now. But at the same time, this new workshop that you've put together, some people watching the show might say, well, oh, no, I use my discernment every day, JC. I don't need to take a workshop on that. I would like to have a refresher also on discernment, because we are, and Janine's nodding her head, because we're all now, and it appears to be that way from the cards, we're getting even more details, we're going into a whole new territory. So the tools that we have been using perhaps all of our lives, maybe some are using those tools more successfully than others. You can see if they're successful in their life and all that using their discernment. But it appears to me that those tools right now, and even the tarot to some extent now, even tonight, we're hitting that wall to where, you can't know right now. There's this kind of weird new territory we're in, that it appears that we have to go within and deal with that individually for ourselves. Nobody else is going to carry that torch or help you through that. So I think it's very important right now to revisit some of that discernment, some of the past success stories and tips and practices, but also just a refresher course, and that might tweak us into different frequencies on how to reapply them in a different way for this new forming world that's in front of us. Speak to that, Janine, too, while you're saying, like discernment right now might mean something very different than it did 5 years ago, even just by the nature of this changing reality, and why it's so important to revisit it. Janine.
Yeah, I keep getting the 8 of Wands card around how to behave right now. And the 8 of Wands is throw a lot of things out there or look at a lot of things in the way a lot of different things are changing. I feel like everything's going to change really fast. And what we thought was true even a year ago could really, the whole landscape's changing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to need to be, and I just recently pulled, we're going to need to be really flexible and just get the big overview and not try to land somewhere solid, because like you said, everything's squishy right now. It could also be astrological. So it's absolutely crucial that we use discernment, and it'll be story to story, and everything that we're looking at on social media, we're going to have to use it on the daily. It's not just an overview right now. It's actually going to be a tool we're going to have to pull out on the daily.
Right. It's not like it's not a hat trick. It's not just something, you actually have to work at it right now, because again, everything is absolutely crazy. Maggie Mir and many people in the chat are saying, yeah, I want to take that course. Okay. So first of all, this is going to be a live workshop. Let me bring up that page. So it's going to be live on May 18th. So you have a couple of days left to register to be part of the live course. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Jans, explain to us how you've structured the course and why you've structured it in that way here, given this new common shared reality we're facing.
It's going to be a course. It's going to be in two parts. So it's going to be one course, but there's two main sections to it. And one is the spiritual section where we will look at discernment as a spiritual concept and practice. And then we're going to do a group meditation too on beliefs. And then in the second part, I'm going to go more into the intellectual aspect of it, because I think also discernment is also an intellectual practice, where I'm going to go more into the, how to handle information. And my cat is here. I'm sorry. She's always popping up when I do shows.
Everybody in the chat is saying we love the feline energy. Keep going. No worries.
Yeah, she's right here.
There you go.
So I'm going to go into the informational aspect of it, where I'm going to really also share some things that I learned over 20 years being in this, because I remember back in 2004 when I woke up, there was no social media then, and I was really on at the time message boards, and everybody was there anonymously. Yeah. I don't know, you guys probably remember that, like the anonymous message board. It's only since Facebook appeared that everybody started using their real name online, and I was really discussing with skeptics then in Belgium, and on like a political forum. And there I really learned to write a bit, but also to learn to, phrase your answers. For example, if people are asking you questions, phrase your answers in such a way that, you don't give them an ammunition and you stay close to the truth. So I'm going to share some of those experiences too. I'm also going to share in the second part some of the techniques I used in my book to research, because the book contains over 300 references. It's also heavy on information, especially in the first part of the book. So yeah. I'm also going to share a little bit on that. So it's going to be an interesting mix, in my opinion, of the spiritual and the more intellectual aspect of it.
Very good. Janine, can we ask Universe also right now what it wants to share to the audience about why using discernment, why perhaps revisiting that practice, re-energizing that muscle might be more important now than perhaps we even understand here, given all the changes that appear to be directly in front of us here, and given the fact that officialdom is also seem to be preparing and knowing that something is just around us here. How does that help for us to revisit our intuition and our discernment, Janine?
Wow. So the feeling of all new territories coming up again, both these cards together, we're like naked in the wilderness again, right? We have no tools going into where we're going. And this is a repeated theme in the last couple of sessions we've been doing together, Jean-Claude. Where we're going is all new territory. And we've not been here before as a humanity. So absolutely discernment's going to be important. We got that Ace of Cups there. We're going to have to practice. So like I said, on the daily, we're going to need new tools going into this new sort of way of seeing things, way of feeling. Like that guy was saying, nothing made any sense anymore. So that means the old paradigm and the old way that we were taught to look at things can't work here in this new. We've already been experiencing that. Like the woo world is absolutely not what we were brought up with. So you're going to absolutely need the tools, and everything's a psychological test. You might even be doing it on yourself. Okay, so psychology and I believe discernment falls in a psychological tool, if you want my opinion, right? So you're going to need to really flex that muscle, like you said, because so many things right now you're watching aren't actually based in truth, at least truth the way you understood it in the past.
Right.
Okay, so like everything's all new and you have to approach it. Your only tool going in there is discernment and running everything through that and your instinct, intuition. And I believe discernment is a big part of intuition. Is that true? Would you say that was true, Jens?
Absolutely, yeah. Intuition is closely linked to discernment. I would say discernment is if you consider it like the spiritual and the intellectual, then the intuition part falls under the spiritual umbrella of it. So that's actually also what I use a lot in my discernment. I use my intuition. Sometimes when I see a piece of information, I kind of get a feeling, like this might not be fully true. And then I go deeper into it, and I will also share some examples in the workshop. And then I go deeper into it, translating the intuition feeling into the material world by researching, and then seeing in the deed that my intuition was correct on it. So yeah, that's absolutely true.
That's wonderful. What do you see there in the last row, Janine?
Well, the outcome here, or where we're headed, is to be a higher, more evolved, intuitive being. Okay, so that tool will absolutely be a big part of it. And this card here says, so stay away from, your emotional feeling about something is different. So you need to know the difference between intuitive knowing, discerning what you intuitively are picking up on, and staying away from your emotional response. Like that guy was showing us, his emotional response to what was happening was kind of fearful and like leery, and like it was messing him up.
Yeah, so, he's discombobulated. He's not functional at this point. You could tell. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I was there Monday and Tuesday for parts of the day, Tuesday, but Monday for sure, Sunday.
I remember you.
I was in that place where I felt like I couldn't actually handle, like things were coming at me from like sort of the normie world. Like I had to deal with, I'd been paying insurance on my Calgary house, even though I sold it a year ago and I thought that was taken care of. But meanwhile, they were making me jump all of these normie hoops to, oh no, you have to write and sign something that says blah, blah, blah. It was horrifying, like in a whole bunch of silly paperwork I was working on. And I was like, why am I doing this? It's not even part of my anymore. This makes no sense. And I just couldn't get a grip on it. And usually I'm fairly tolerant of stuff like that, but I was like not having it. It was like I was having an emotional response to all of these things that I know aren't going to really matter actually going forward. I just got it. And I'm
Oops, did we lose Janine? Jans, are you there? I think we lost
I'm here.
Yeah, I think we lost Janine there. She's frozen on the screen. Okay, hopefully she comes back in just a moment. Oh, there you go, Janine, you're back. Keep going with the last row there.
Yeah, so letting go of your emotional response, sitting back and using those tools, discernment, intuition, and using them together. Because like Jens said, they go hand in hand.
Yeah. That's great advice from Universe. Guys, if you're interested in that, please do go and check it out here on beyondmystic.academy. Yes, it's very well priced. There's already a 10% discount code already applied to it. So please check it out and support Jans there. This is going to be live. This is Sunday, right? The 18th? Jans? Hold on. The 15th? Yeah, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, guys. We have some prizes to give away, Jans. Do you feel like asking a question to Janine to give away one of our first prizes here? What do you think?
All right. Just let me quickly think about a question maybe in the theme of what we were
Dude, it could be something in
Nothing
your
about-
book. It could be something you talked about in your book. A lot of people in the chat already read your book. They said they loved your book. Guys, on that note, too, if you're looking for Jan's book, please do go check it out on Amazon. It's called A World in Transition by Jans Pateo. Jans, a question for your book, perhaps, to give away the
All
prize
right.
here tonight.
All right, so there's an organization, we know the Bilderberg Group, the globalist organization, we know the Council on Foreign Relations, which, both were heavily involved with David Rockefeller. David Rockefeller was heavily involved. There's another organization that he founded that's actually not so well known, but that's actually should be well known and is also very instrumental. And what's the name of that organization?
Okay, that's a good one. If you want to just type it in on the sidebar for me there as well, Jan. And while we wait for the audience members to populate that answer, tough question, but I think some people will get it. Let's look at your consultation page also here on beyondmystic.net. You have 3 products available there: the energy healing sessions, the guided meditations, which a lot of people in the chat are saying these are really, really good. They really appreciate those, and the wake-up call. For the meditations also here, this is a big part, I think, in using intuition and your discernment, is having the ability to quickly center yourself after you're disrupted here in your reality. How do these guided meditations look like here, these 45-minute sessions? What can people expect there, Jans?
Yeah, so all the meditations are designed specifically for these times, to get your energy up and running. And especially, the energy healings also I do is tailored towards, bringing that newer frequency. It's called the blueprint healing, and it's actually, you have a lot of different energy healing practices, and like Reiki is existed since the 1900s in Japan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an older. Not saying it's not good, it's just a more. It's an earlier frequency. I think Reiki is still very good for relaxation and really working with hands-on on the physical body. But what I do is blueprint healing. It's like a newer frequency that's more tailored to these new times, for people who want to really accelerate their growth, because you always receive in the energy healing. You always receive what you need. Also with the guided meditation, it's a little bit of a different approach. We're going to specifically work on what you want or what you feel needs coming up, or what I intuitively feel in cooperation with you, that we can guide. It might be, for example, an inner child meditation, might be anything. So the guided meditation is not energy work, but it's more a psychological, where we're going to look at your subconscious through guided meditation to see what comes up and what needs to be brought into awareness to grow and to heal.
Very good. So guys, please do go check it out, beyondmystic.net. If you click on the consultation page there, and if you use Beyond Mystic in one word, you get 10% off also on these bookings with Jans. Okay, so there's quite a few people who have the answer here. So Jans, let me know when you want me to stop the feed, and we'll pick a winner here for the beautiful candles from Ascension Organites, giving away her gifts tonight.
Stop.
So my cursor is on Jules 929 trilateral commission. That's correct. You have the right answer. Congratulations. All right. The next one is the beautiful pyramid, also from Carla at Ascension Organites. This is the Abundance and Prosperity Beginners Series. Janine, do you have a question for the audience members to give away this one tonight?
I do.
All right.
Now, remember, I have a lot of ways to describe this card, but one phrase I use starts with the word universal, and then there's another word that comes after it. What's that phrase? Finish the phrase. Yeah, that's the one.
You gave me this card. This was my card last year, I think.
Yep.
That was my card for the year. Yeah. All right. So universal what, guys? In the meantime, also, while people are populating that, we'll give them a little bit more time here. Some people watch on delay. Janine, you just put up a world news today on tarotbyjanine.com.
Actually, no, I put up my Thursday quick pick.
That was today. Okay. What's going on here on Tarot by Janine for people who are not yet supporting you there? What can they expect if they join this beautiful community here for $4.99 a month, Janine?
Monday and Wednesday, I do at some point in the afternoon, I put up a world news, and I often ask, not every time, but I'll often ask the general population on the website what they want to talk about, what they want to ask about. So I take my questions from there. Also, I do a monthly zodiac spread, and I just did the May. It feels like I just did it now, and I know we're mid-May, but time is flying by.
Time is flying by.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very good.
and also some quick chats with people if I find them interesting. But the best thing about it, in my opinion, and a lot of people would agree on the website, is the community sharing. Like I get some of my best input and best ideas. It's like I'm on top of everything because all those digital soldiers on the website are flying things at me.
Yeah.
Like as soon as it comes out, I get to see it, and I feel so privileged.
And I think it works both ways. One, there's that reporting back to you guys, to you, but also what's interesting is we're getting this now because you have a lot of new members joining. They're having the support there in the community because they're probably a little bit earlier in that waking up process. And then sometimes when you do the shows or you do your world news, people are like, what does she mean by that? What does she mean by that? And people in the community will come in and backfill some of those researches that you've done in the past. So really, really valuable, guys. Check it out at tarotbyjanine.com. All right, so let's go back to the live chat. Janine, let me know when to stop the feed.
Stop.
Oh, stop. Okay, my cursor. Texas Coyote. There you go. Timing. Universal timing. Yes, that was correct also. So both of the winners tonight, if you go to the top of the page at beyondmystic.net and you click on the About section, fill in the tech support form there, and we'll let Carla know you're the winner, and we'll send that out to you. While you're there, also, you can peruse the amazing new soap line here from Floraline. We just launched those a couple of weeks ago. And of course, if you use the code there, BM10, you'll get 10% off. She also has brand new bath salts also infused with botanicals and essential oils. Don't want to miss that. Check it out at florinefarm.ca. All right, guys, we're almost at the end of the show. I think what I'd like to do now, maybe ask some universal guidance here. Again, I know part of it here, and we keep asking, universe is saying, yeah, you don't get to know. You kind of have to go through what's coming in front of you for yourself. And I think the discernment part is really important and good on you, Jans, and I hope you people will join us on Sunday here for this live workshop. But Jans, first now, like, given the fact that we're feeling all of these symptoms, as the gentleman was speaking, and the three of us on the stage, and most of the people in the chat feeling the same symptoms, what would you say right now is some advice on how to navigate all that? What would you share with the audience?
I would say what I mostly always say when I'm being asked that, and it is just, be in the present moment and just go out in nature, because you were talking about the aliens, the alien thing, and I think that might ramp up, and I think they might create a lot of fear for people with, presenting maybe a fake extraterrestrial threat, as they have been talking about. I mean, I'm sure you heard about, for example, the former aide of Werner von Braun, Dr. Karl Rosin, who, came forward with that story that Werner von Braun on his deathbed talked that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
So, if that would happen this year, I would say to people, just don't give a lot of power to it. Just, see it as a show, take some emotional distance from it. Of course, it would be exciting if aliens would be confirmed. I'm not going to deny that would be exciting for me even. Although I know they exist, it's always exciting when it gets like in the mainstream and all the people talk about it. But, especially, I would say don't go into fear, watch it as a show and make jokes about it. If it would happen this year, I think that's really important, not to get too much sucked into the scare and the emotional drama that would surround it for most people.
Yeah, because when you're in that frequency, you start reacting as opposed to responding. And when you're reacting, you're probably not making the correct decisions for you in navigating this world. Great advice, Jans. Really appreciate that. Janine, do you want to speak from the heart? You want to pull from the cards in terms of advice now? Like, what do you feel?
Well, I'll just say how I deal with. So there's so much newness coming at us. And I remember just before the lockdowns thinking, wow, life is kind of like this line. I was actually bored. Actually, Oh man, I haven't been bored for so long. But I was like bored and wondering when things were going to get exciting again because my soul loves excitement. Okay. I
Yeah.
was literally signed up for this, and I'm not going anywhere till we're all the way through and on the other side celebrating with each other. And I know there's been moments of that, and that's wonderful, but I think there's a lot more, some tricky parts to come as well. And I was just created for this, and to me it's like, don't forget that you signed up for this in a spiritual way. So try having fun with this, enjoying the process, getting excited about all the changes, and trust that your soul wouldn't have signed up for this unless you could handle it. You can handle it. And just trust yourself and trust that the universe has got your back. I really trust that, or I wouldn't even be sitting here right now.
Yeah, that's really great advice. It makes you feel a little bit more in control, knowing that perhaps your higher self knows really what's in front of you. And of course, that you chose to be right here, right now, with all of these lovely people on screen, also sharing in the community and also in your families. We're all in this together. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight. A big thank you again to Carla for gifting us all of these amazing prizes for the audience.
Giao ta đao và cung tiến của ngươi. Từ hôm nay trở đi, ngươi cũng giống như cô ta, cũng là nô lệ của chúng ta. Lấy cây cung, mũi tên và đá mông cổ còn có một cái đinh ba dùng để cua cỏ đồi xoắn. Những vật dụng nào có thể làm vũ khí đều bị vơ vét hết, còn con bệnh nhân và nô lệ của y. Những người trong tộc của y cũng bị tập trung lại, bởi vì lều của y là lớn nhất trong các bộ lạc nhỏ có mười mấy người chăn nuôi này. Ngựa cũng đã bị lấy đi, trở thành vật cưỡi của chiến sĩ đoán nhau tạm về. Tiếp theo đó, bà vợ đau lòng mà nhìn tài sản của y, đàn dê được nuôi nấng cẩn thận bị các chiến sĩ dùng một con dao nhỏ giết chết dễ dàng, cạo chóc ra, bỏ nội tạng, sau đó chia thịt thành từng khối nặng vài cân. Tiếp theo, ở tại nhà bếp lò vẫn còn ấm trong nhà của y, bỏ vào nồi nước nấu lên. Tất cả dê, một con cũng không còn. Bọn họ là chiến sĩ chỉ biết cướp đoạt, không hề mang theo thức ăn. Trong mắt bà vợ ảm đạm, lúc này mà các chiến sĩ của Đoán Nhân Tam Vệ thả cho y chạy trốn, y cũng không biết phải làm thế nào để sinh tồn. Không còn số dê bò đó, cả nhà của y chỉ có đói chết hoặc là làm nô lệ. Ba vợ theo bản năng mà nhìn về khối thiếu nhi cô nương vẫn bị y không coi là người. Trên mặt hiện lên một nụ cười thê thảm tuyệt vọng. Y yên lặng gục đầu xuống, sau đó còn có một đôi ủng da đi tới trước mặt y. Tiếp theo, y nhìn thấy một chiến sĩ trẻ tuổi cười dài hỏi y: "Này huynh đệ, nói cho ta biết phương hướng ước chừng của các doanh trại của những bộ lạc khác, nhất là doanh trại của hoàng hậu Thất Lý Mộc Trắc nhĩ. Nghe nói đệ nhân mỹ nhân trên đảo nguyên của chúng ta không có đi cùng với lão già bá nhan kia xuất chinh." Phía trên công trường đối diện phủ uy quốc công, hừng hực khí thế, từng tòa điện đền đầu gác mọc lên, huy hoàng tráng lệ, nguyên ca đẫm đẫm. Có hồ nhỏ để chờ thuyền du khách, đào giữa hồ giả sơn cũng đã đơn giản về quy mô. Huyền Linh Cung trục xuất vô số thị dân để chiếm đất xây dựng được một nửa đã bị hoàng đế chính thức lừa giận vạn trận hạ trì hủy bỏ. Tất cả nhân công vật liệu toàn bộ đổ nước bạc dùng cho tòa án này. Ngân lượng đầu tư thì đều dùng để xây dựng lại nhà dân cho dân chúng. Người dân đã từng bị lưu cần đuổi ra khỏi kinh thành không có chỗ ở, hoặc cả nhà chen chúc ở một căn nhà nhỏ đều hoan nghênh ủng hộ. Bởi vì có sẵn nhân công và vật liệu ở đây, tốc độ xây dựng Hoàng An tiến triển cực nhanh. Ngụy Vân bận rộn đầu tắt mà tối, nước gần sụp đổ khiến cho vị nội hoạn từng đi lại khá mật thiết với Lưu Cẩn này làm việc gì cũng vô cùng thận trọng để cầu xin bù đắp vị trí trong mắt hoàng thượng. Có gã cả ngày giám sát xây dựng trên công trường, các bộ phận đốc công làm sao có thể không giúp sức. Bởi vì Hà Bắc Sơn Đông chiến bại, rất nhiều người dân chạy trốn tới kinh thành. Những người này ổn định đến trị an trong kinh thành khó đảm bảo được. Và lại thời tiết nóng dần lên, số lượng lớn lưu dân vào kinh, một khi xảy ra ôn dịch không phải là chuyện nhỏ. Nhưng lưu dân chưa ổn định thì triều đình chưa làm tròn bổn phận. Hơn nữa lưu dân đi đến đường cùng, khó đảm bảo sẽ không xảy ra rắc rối. Theo mưu kế của Thành Tử Vận, Ngụy Bân cầu kiến hoàng đế xin đưa toàn bộ nhân dân chuyển đến ngoại ô phía Tây. Thanh niên khỏe mạnh thì sung và đại quân xây dựng, những việc trồng hoa nhổ cỏ, phụ nữ trẻ em cũng có thể làm được. Còn có thể sắp xếp một bộ phận làm thuê cho địa chủ gần đấy. Như vậy sử dụng được rất nhiều lao động giá rẻ, bọn họ có việc làm, có cơ quan cũng không gây chuyện rắc rối, còn có thể nói một câu đôi việc. Chính thức cho rằng là chú ý của Ngụy Bân rất thích hợp, là nhìn gã với một con mắt khác, và thực sự khen ngợi gã vài câu, khiến Ngụy Bân mừng đến ngửa đầu đứt tai. Thấy Thành Thời Vân cũng ngày càng tôn kính. Lúc này gã đang bận rộn trên công trường, trong vườn hoa phía sau phủ Uy Quốc Công cũng là một cảnh bận rộn. Cao Văn Tâm đã gả vào Dương phủ, bởi vì biểu đệ đang học ở Thái Học, Cao Văn Lam để tiện chăm sóc, cậu đã chuyển đến sống trong thành. Như thế mà sau nhà ngang trước đây về mỏ trống không, Hà Nấu Nương tìm người dỡ tường thấp bao quanh, dọn ra 3 phòng trong nhà ngang, sắp xếp cho chủ tớ Thành Thời Vận ở lại, phái cho nàng mấy nha đầu để sai khiến. Không ở khách phòng, thư phòng mà ở phòng riêng biệt ở hậu hoa viên. Dụng ý của Hà Nấu Nương không cần nói thành lời. Thành Thời Vận thông minh sao lại không rõ. Dù là nàng gian trá, giảo hoạt, ngoài trừ trong lòng có Dương Lăng, nhìn ra thiên hạ chỉ có ta phụ ngươi, không cho phép người phụ ta. Nhưng đối với Hà Nấu Nương vẫn là tôn kính từ trong lòng. Hiện ra Dương Lăng là thân phận gì, Hà Nấu Nương là thân phận gì, đến con trai của nàng ấy đều là nữ nhi của hoàng đế làm điện hạ. Cả nhà Dương Tỷ đã là tân quý đứng đầu trong kinh thành. Hà Nấu Nương bày tỏ thái độ này, cho dù thành hay không thành, nhưng nàng vẫn cảm động đến rơi nước mắt đối với hành vi của Hà Nấu Nương. Thành Thời Vận có tiền, không nói đến số tài sản cách xù của nàng có thể sánh ngang một nước, mà nàng khống chế trong tay, thậm chí có thể dùng để kéo một đội quân bất cứ lúc nào. Chính là số tiền riêng trước đây nàng tích lũy được. Nếu muốn đặt mua sảnh viện quy mô như của phủ Uy Quốc Công cũng dư giả. Nhưng nàng muốn ở trong Dương phủ, cho dù chỉ là một chỗ nhỏ, nhưng nếu không được Hà Nấu Nương gật đầu thì tuyệt đối không thể đấy. Giá nhà này là Hà Nấu Nương cho, phòng ở bày bố sân vườn là một tay Thành Thời Vận sắp xếp. Với tầm mắt của nàng, bố trí sảnh viện tự nhiên cao nhã hào phóng, không giống bình thường. Một gian nhà vườn nho nhỏ bố trí hết sức tinh xảo tỉ mỉ, vô cùng thú vị. Để tám đối tượng Cao Văn Tâm gặp được Xuân hiểu nhiều vết rộng cũng thắng cùng không thôi. Thư phòng là một buồng lò sưởi tinh xảo, cửa sổ đã làm lại, rộng hơn gần gấp đôi. Ánh sáng vô cùng tốt, lúc ánh mặt trời nhiều nhất trong phòng sáng sủa, nhưng ánh sáng dịu lại không hề cho mắt. Lúc này Thành Thời Vận đang ngồi trước bàn sách gỗ hoa trước cửa sổ, bên tay trái một chồng văn án, bên tay phải nhận một văn án, một cây bút lông sói cáo sừng trâu từ đàn đặt trên giá bút dễ với tay đấy. Hơi khép một tấm tiếp lại, Thành Thời Vận trong đôi mày thanh tú trầm ngâm một lát nói: "Tuy nhiên, giao tấm tiếp này đem cho phòng kế toán ghi lại, rồi chuyển cho phòng tổng toán tính toán. Bạn phải nhanh chóng trích lâm đúng chỗ, lập tức bắt đầu đi thu mua lương thực." Triều đình muốn từ khu vực nội lục như Thiểm Tây, Trưng Lương Đông Vận, do Sơn Tây Hà Nam, Sơn Đông bị loạn thường bá đạo, bọn họ phải vận chuyển theo đường sông, vận chuyển đường sông trực tiếp ra Đông Hải, sau đó lại vận chuyển đường biển gián tiếp đến Sơn Đông. Triều đình hiệu lệnh vị trí thu mua lương thực lại xếp trai vận chuyển về phía Nam, sau đó vận chuyển đường sông, đường thủy, đường biển, phải đi qua nhiều nha môn, nhiều đoạn thủ tục, không chỉ tốn thời gian và công sức mà còn đẩy cao giá thành. Chúng ta có thương hiệu sẵn, cửa hàng có thể thu mua, có xe vận chuyển, tàu vận chuyển, thậm chí có bến tàu của riêng mình, nhà kho. Nếu chúng ta tiếp tay, còn tiết kiệm hơn gấp rưỡi tiền bạc so với triều đình vận chuyển, hơn nữa tốc độ còn nhanh hơn trên nửa tháng. Triều đình đang thiếu tiền, ngoài tiền này bọn họ sẽ không tính toán, không rõ. Người của cửa hàng chúng ta đang hoạt động ở Hồ Bộ. Hồ Bộ từng cư như Trung Cương vừa nhận chức, đang muốn có thành tích. Chúng ta chỉ cần một nửa lợi nhuận, tiết kiệm một phần bạc cho triều đình. Ông ta chỉ cần thêm chút quyền hành nhất định sẽ đồng ý điều kiện này. Nhưng một khi tin tức truyền ra, những thời hiệu lớn khác nhất định nghe tin hành động. Ít nhất giá lương thực của Thiểm Tây nhất định sẽ tăng lên. Sớm ra tay một chút thì có thể kiếm thêm một chút bạc. Nhân cơ hội này chúng ta cũng có thể thuận theo con đường vận chuyển hàng hóa dọc liên hải nội lục. Nhân cơ hội phát triển thương hiệu lương thực của chúng ta, phát triển quy mô vận chuyển đường thủy nội lục. Nàng nhìn lên ghế, cười xinh đẹp lắm. Triều đình nhất định không có bạc đưa cho chúng ta. 89/10 là Hộ Bộ sẽ dùng kế sách khai trung làm thuốc. Dựa vào số lượng gạo chúng ta vận chuyển để cấp muối trà, như vậy chúng ta lại có thể nhân cơ hội nhúng tay vào nghề muối, nghề trà. Trong hai ngành nghề lợi nhuận cách xù này nhanh chóng mở ra cục diện, lại mở ra tài nguyên, nhất cử tứ đắc. Đúng vậy Tiểu Thư, Sở Linh hé miệng cười nói, nếu vua lão già biết suy nghĩ của người, nhất định sẽ khen người là vì đúng thần tài đấy. Thành Khởi Vận mỉm cười nói, Vũ Tài Thần ta không dám sánh, và ý nghĩ này ta vẫn là học ông ta đấy. Thật không biết đại nhân làm sao tìm được vào vốn này. Thiên hạ chiến loạn vốn không phải là điều tốt, nhưng trong chiến đấu kiếm lời, đối với thiên nhân mà nói, chỉ cần hành động thích đáng trước giờ đều là món lợi kết xù. Ôi, ai bảo đại nhân làm quan trong triều chứ, tình càng cũng mềm rồi. Không ngờ không đành lòng kiếm bạc cùng vâng. Nếu không, chỉ dựa vào việc những tuyển nhân lực của chúng ta so với triều đình có thể sống nửa tháng. Kiếm chẳng 1/10 số tiền mình tiết kiệm được, chúng ta sẽ ăn đây. Sớm nửa tháng giải quyết được bao nhiêu vấn đề, chết ít đi bao nhiêu người. Trên đường giảm mất nửa tháng, quý nhân công vận chuyển lại có thể tiết kiệm được bao nhiêu. Hộ bộ không đồng ý mới làm. Sở Linh thản nhiên nói, nhưng nói ra thì Vũ Tài Thần chính là người làm ăn nói chuyện làm ăn, có thể kiếm được thì kiếm. Đúng rồi, triều đình đánh giặc cần được lớn lượng, chiến trướng, áo giáp, binh khí, cung tiễn và dược liệu. Ngoài trừ dược liệu đã được phân phó cho những cửa hàng dược liệu của chúng ta gia tăng thu mua, những thiết bị khác thì chỉ có thể đến từ Liêu Đông. Ở đó không chỉ có số lượng lớn nguyên liệu, vật liệu giá rẻ có thể lập tức chế tạo, hơn nữa chất lượng hoàn mỹ. Vũ Tài Thần chạy đến đó xây xong mấy xưởng quy mô cực lớn, nhưng là tợi nhãn cao siêu, có phải là vận dụng lực lượng bí mật của chúng ta, ảnh hưởng một chút đến ý đồ mua bán của triều đình? Thành Khởi Vận do dự một chút nói, không cần, hiện tại trong triều vừa dọn sạch tất cả những cần, đồ sát biển, hàn lâm biển, thanh lưu lại trên thế thượng phong, bách quan